Welcome to part 1 of the 5-part series, Repressed Behind Repressed. We'll start with writing. Repressed started out as an emotion that I wanted to understand and explain, but I couldn't find the words. I began with chords that matched my mood, my tone, and my visuals. The visuals being an imaginary person standing next to me through a difficult time that inspired the song. From here, it became a case of trial and error, fitting in lyrics, changing them and writing them down, going over and over, working through the song like a maze, taking every direction until I found the right path. Within half an hour I had a rough song. Everything unfolded as the story appeared. The main hook of the chorus became the pivot point that the rest of the decisions were based around. It wasn't long before I had a finished version of the song, one that I could play around with and see what happens as I went. Welcome back to part 2 of the 5-part series Behind Repressed, continuing with structure. Once I got the core lyrics down, I type everything up straight away. I need to see it and lock it in and know what I'm working with. This part's quick. I dump everything onto the page and then start cutting it up. I usually know exactly where the first verse and the chorus live because these are the backbone of the song. Everything else gets built around that to make the story make sense. With Repressed, the first and the last verse are almost the same. It loops back on itself like a cyclical structure. Thank you GCSE English. I don't start with any set ideas. I don't want the song boxed in before it knows where it's going. I let it take its own route. Repressed ended up with 3 verses, a break, a chorus, another verse, a bridge, and then back again. It feels familiar but not predictable. The structure tells apart the story too. Once it's done, I step away. I play it over the next few days on my guitar without forcing anything. If the words want to change, then they change. If they don't, they don't. This process leads to 3 or 4 rewrites, and that's what makes it feel solid. Welcome back to part 3 of the 5-part series Behind Repressed. We're on to recording. I did almost everything myself, so I had to wear a lot of hats for this project. I recorded the whole thing using my own setup, nothing fancy, just the gear I've collected over time and actually know how to use. Software, mic, audio interface, headphones, guitar, that's it. I use the Shure SM57 Beta because it's the mic I trust, and it's what I use live. I know how it reacts to my voice, and it doesn't pick up the seagulls from across the garden like my condenser would. I recorded standing up most of the time. That's how I play live. It gives me more energy, and that mattered more than being perfect. Only the vocals and the guitar were recorded, everything else was built around that in Ableton. The first vocal and guitar takes were awful, flat, out of time, completely dead, which honestly does wonders for motivation. I kept throwing myself at it anyway. I tried recording in the dark, changed instruments, changed approaches. I nearly gave up. Then I had a thought. Keep the bad take, because all I needed was one rough performance to build everything else around it. I chose energy and tone over vocal perfection. I could fix it later if I had the energy to. This song needed to feel messy. Too clean would have killed it. Welcome back to part 4 of the 5-part series Behind Repressed. This is about the production. I spent years making electronic tracks and soundscapes, so bringing this mindset into live instruments felt pretty natural. I started simple, with placeholder drums, piano, synth, bass, just enough to hold up the song while I worked out the feeling of it. At this point I had one rule. Does this add to the emotion or take away from it? If it took away, then it was gone. Rory became my main reference because her music lives in that emotional, story-first space. This was the feeling I wanted to replicate, the anger, the pain, but also the understanding. The drums weren't clicking to begin with, so I pushed them really far on purpose, really heavy, almost metal, then really loose and funky. This helped me find the right groove, which became the backbone for the rest of the track. I tried out many different compositions for each instrument and focused on what felt right. The actual production is quite light. I focused more on simplicity and restraint, although don't tell the 5 EQs and the guitar channel that. Then came the real breakthrough, harmonies. My voice had changed so much since I wrote the song. The original melody was too low, so it was much harder for me to put energy into. I shifted up to a higher harmony, which became the main melody, and everything opened up. This became the driving force of the song. I kept the low vocal at the start as a reminder of where it all began, but as soon as the first chorus hits, the real energy hits. Welcome back to part 5 of the 5-part series Behind Repressed. We're ending with mix, master and release. There wasn't really a clean mixing stage for this song. Most of it was mixed as I went. I sent versions to friends, I played it in my car, I played it through my phone speakers, because this is how people actually listen, so that's what I mixed for. It gave me a clear idea of what needed to be louder, quieter, left, right, what mattered and what didn't. Mastering was a completely different story. I don't know how to do it, at all. I followed a few tutorials and gave it my best shot, but next time that's something I'll pay a professional to do, because that final polish matters so much. I released this song onto YouTube on my storefront first, then streaming services a month later. This is because streaming's passive. I wanted intention. I wanted a lyric video or a purchase, something that people choose to interact with. I don't have a manager or a publisher, so I can experiment with how I release things. Repressed is out in the world now, and I'm really proud of that. The next release will build on everything I learned here, better vocals, a third-party master, and a more focused promotional campaign. The same process, just sharper. But for now, I am so happy with this project. And on that note, go and give it a listen if you haven't already. You can find it on all the major streaming services, on my YouTube, on my Ko-fi page if you fancy. And thank you so much to anyone and everyone who's helped me through this process. I really appreciate you guys.